Hey, we're here live from my bedroom closet. I'm Spencer Griffin, your host today. We got Andy Robertson here as well, and then of course Mauricio, Emmy Award-winning Beltran Hernandez is also here with us. So we got the normal crew today. We're going to talk a little bit about NBA, a lot about the NFL, a little bit about MLB. So let's kick it off with the NBA stuff. First, we've got Russell Westbrook, and you guys know what's been going on there. He's a little irritated that people have been calling him West Brick. Thoughts on that?
They're just getting too soft nowadays, man.
Okay, we've got the old man opinion. I can't say I disagree with you. I mean, I think it's the same thing. I think we all probably agree. It is pretty laughable.
Yeah,
this is the guy that's famous for his rock the baby celebration, and I feel like he's taken shots at KD before and things like that. But I mean, I just think he's being really soft. And ironically, it's two things that are kind of ironic. One, the Streisand effect, if you've not heard of it, Wikipedia says the Streisand effect is a phenomenon that occurs when an attempt to hide, remove, or censor information has the unintended consequence of increasing awareness of that information, often via the internet. So basically, he's making it worse on himself, addressing it. So now that he's put it out there that it gets under his skin, obviously everybody's just gonna keep doing it. And then the second ironic thing is LeBron is his teammate and the star of the team, and he's dealt with that his whole career with Le GM, Le Brick, I've heard Le Bum, now Le Mickey with the Mickey Mouse championship ring. But yeah, I mean, and he deals with it fine because he knows that it'll just be worse if he voices that it bothers him. And other players get called way worse, including like racist stuff I've seen, especially when they play at the Utah Jazz. It happens quite often, but some of my favorite nicknames around the league that people don't let get to them are CP3 to 6 weeks, Anthony Day to Davis, and Web Embiid.
Those are good.
Promise I didn't make any of those up. I'm not that original.
Those are good. Those are good though.
They are good. Andy, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I don't. You may be able to figure this out. I remember hearing Westbrook several years ago. I mean, it's not a new thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that just lived on the internet and then the fans took it to the games more recently, or if he's been dealing with it for a while and all the stuff with the Lakers being bad and then people blaming it on Westbrook has finally gotten to him. And I don't know what's going on, but I'm curious as to why now is the time that he's saying something. I know his wife went on Twitter and said something, and he said it's been affecting his family. But again, I feel like he's been the scapegoat for the Lakers this year as to why they've been bad. And I think he's had altercations with fans before.
That's true.
And one of the things that's kind of unique about basketball is I feel like the fans are right on the court, whereas every other sport, they're away from the field or the surface of play. And so I feel like the fans are probably a little bit more involved within NBA games or even college basketball to some extent. But I don't know. I like I said, I just feel like I've heard West Brick before, and I don't know why now is the time that he's coming out saying something.
Yeah, you brought up a couple of really good points. First of all, that the fans are right courtside. We've already seen it in previous season. I believe it was this season too. It was either this season or last where LeBron had someone kicked out for saying something.
Oh, yeah.
But it happens quite often. People go way over the line. I mean, these are just people too. I don't know why they're treating them like trash when they're human beings like the rest of us. But that's kind of besides the fact. But then another one you brought up is it's affecting him more now that he's in LA. And I think Mauricio's going to hate this, but I think it's just a product of Lakers fans. I think at times they can get, it's a huge market. They can get really toxic because they hold their team to a really high standard. Obviously, they've won a lot in the past. They won a championship 2 years ago, and they're already mad at this season, which seems ludicrous to most fan bases because they would give up anything. And then that's such a stark contrast from Oklahoma City, where it's a super small market. The fans obviously loved him. I feel like small market teams tend to stand by their players a lot easier as opposed to these big market teams. But yeah, I like those 2 points were spot on. Mauricio, you want to defend your fan base?
No, it's just like you said, we're so used to like all these championships and stuff. Because when I grew up there in the, when I was in California, it was like the Kobe and Shaq years. We were going through all these championships and everything, and then once the team kind of fell apart, we went through all these years without. It was just Kobe, and so it was like just a lot of bad years. So we've grown like all these high expectations, and we feel like we can't go back to like not having championships every year, or contending for a championship every year. Especially when you're paying like so much money for tickets and stuff over there.
Good Gary Payton, Karl Malone, Steve Nash at one point.
Yeah,
all past their prime.
Which,
yeah.
Well, I will say, like growing up, and for the most of my life, I will say that the Lakers have been one of the better teams in the league until Kobe's, like the last few years of Kobe's career. And I'm glad you brought up the fan expectation, because I was going to make that point too. Mm-hmm. And because the Lakers them and the Celtics have the two most championships in the league, and so there are expectations there, and you can point that to any sport. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was a good point.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So we'll move to right in your wheelhouse. Did I hear little birdie told me that the MLB might have something?
Yep, they did. But do you want to back up and talk about Popovich real quick, since we were talking about NBA?
Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about Pop.
Okay. Well, if you guys have been living under a rock, Gregg Popovich has now surpassed Don Nelson for the most career coaching wins. And he's done it with the Spurs his entire career. I know he's had a lot of talent come through there. I know the last few years haven't been that great, but the thing that kind of stood out to me is he did it in 370 fewer games than Don Nelson did it. Posted his 1335. So what do you guys think about that? Has it been mostly about the talent, or is Pop like one of the best coaches of all time, or is it a combination of both?
I'm interested to hear what Mauricio has to say.
I think it's been the talent,
Oh, okay.
The players that came through. Because like right now, it's like they've only won 20, 21 games, 22 games, something like that.
Their best player's Keldon Johnson. So what do you expect?
Yeah, just I don't know. Somebody else said on ESPN too, like just because he has all these wins and stuff, like does that make him the greatest coach of all time?
Oh, come on! You're not watching ESPN for your sports news, are you?
No, but just here and there,
But is Eric Spoelstra a good coach, Mauricio?
No, he's a terrible.
Okay.
My gosh, you're ignoring that. No, I totally disagree with you, Mauricio. Yeah, he did. He had all those years with Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, but I think like allowing them to stay together as a unit is super unheard of for as long as they stayed, and I think that's a testament to what the players think about Popovich. And most players have a lot of tension with the coach, especially if you've got a core of those three guys, and maybe say 1 year you do struggle a little bit, you're gonna put your coach on the hot seat most of the time. But with Pop, that's not the case. He's just so good at X's and O's, and at the same time being able to relate to his players. I just feel like he's like the perfect coach for the NBA. And then you saw he and with the help of the front office, obviously some of the players that they brought in help as well. Because they brought in Kawhi, who nobody expected to break out as he did. So they saw the talent with him, and then they brought in DeRozan. I just think the talent has overturned a little bit in the last few years, but he's overachieved with what they've had. Like, I know you mentioned this year, Mauricio, they have struggled, but at the same time, they're winning games that they really shouldn't be. And teams that had that level of talent with a different coach, they wouldn't be anywhere near where they are right now. But that's just my opinion on the matter.
Like when they beat the Jazz the other day.
Exactly, yeah. Because there's it wouldn't happen with coach like Jason Kidd.
I don't know. I might put Jason Kidd above Greg.
What?
Oh
All right,
my
we're
God.
stopping the podcast.
We're gonna get canceled.
We're stopping the podcast, guys. It's our last episode.
He's stirring up drama. You've been
Jason.
watching ESPN too much. Oh my gosh. I can't
Because he spills water on the floor?
hit me. Bump me. Are you is that you guys got any more NBA stuff? I mean, we may as well mute Mauricio out of this.
Oh, yeah. But no, isn't Popovich, isn't he their GM as well?
Is he?
So-
I could be wrong.
I think he might. I think he
Yeah, I
is.
think he might be.
Oh, in that case, he's 100% the greatest, because how can anybody spot talent like that? They're always bringing in dudes that
Mhm.
are way overperforming. Look at Patty Mills too.
Yeah, and he's been coach of Olympic teams as well. So I mean,
all the players around the league respect the game.
yeah, and I think in sports in general, coaches don't seem to have that long of a leash. Of course, you've got your Bill Belichick's, Mike Tomlins, and guys like that.
Outliers.
Yeah, your outliers. But I mean, Popovich is the NBA's most tenured coach right now, and I mean, I think that says a lot too. That the Spurs have been so good, so consistent for so many years, and yeah, he has had a lot of talent. I mean, before Tim Duncan, it was David Robinson, but I mean, it's just incredible that the Spurs have been one of the marquee teams for so long. And like I know the last few years haven't been great, but I mean, the Spurs have been a solid team. So
And I
do
think
think-
what helps is his he harps on the team offense. Although you see, I mean, you can look at passing highlights from the years and years of Spurs ball where they just pass it around the perimeter flawlessly, and then also his ability to get the most out of his players on defense. You look at the prime example for me is Bruce Bowen. He's maybe like the premier defensive specialist I remember growing up, and I just remember my mind being blown that anybody could do that and make that big of an impact without scoring and doing all those other things, but just with his defense alone. And that's, kudos to Popovich on that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all I got on NBA.
Okay. Yeah. Now we can move to baseball, and I will not be as big of a chatterbox on this one because you've got the scoop. And let's hear it.
Yeah, if I get too long-winded, just cut
Nah.
me off or whatever.
I'm
Mute
the
me.
one that I do it too.
Yeah, so I know last episode I wasn't very optimistic. So when that initial report said that they could come to a deal that one day, I was pretty optimistic, and then they didn't go to a deal, extended it to Tuesday. I was just really frustrated, and I think they had another deadline set this week. They canceled another week of games. But I started seeing that the two sides were kind of getting close to where I think the initial hope point of optimism that I had this week was whenever they said that if they could come to a deal this week, then they would go ahead and add those. They'd play a whole 162 game schedule. And
With
so
the double headers.
yeah, with a few 9-inning doubleheaders. And so Thursday rolled around, and it was around that. It was getting to be about 1:30. I checked Twitter, and it said that the two sides are close. And so I was like furiously scrolling or keep refreshing the page on my phone and on my computer. I was refreshing, and so I was I saw that they were kept getting close. There was a vote. There was a little bit of pessimism because it was like the players board was voted no, and so usually I was watching MLB Network and they were talking about how players usually side with the board, and then the vote came out and said it passed, and so the collective bargaining agreement has been agreed upon. And I'll just run down through this real quick. And
I was going to say, yeah, because from what I saw, and I don't follow baseball as closely as I should, but from what I saw, it looked like a pretty, based on, I thought it was going to be a pretty owner-friendly deal. It looks like it's pretty friendly to the players.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems pretty fair on the surface. And I think there's a lot of fan interest involved with it too. And so just to run down, the pre-arbitration bonus pool has risen. That was one of the big things. Minimum player salary will increase by 80,000 by 2026. I think it's 20,000 or so increments until then. The luxury tax threshold is higher, and they've added a fourth tier. There was 3 before, and each tier you pass, there were penalties. So you'd lose draft picks with each rising penalty.
And you said now there's a fourth tier. Is that what you said?
Yeah, and now there's a fourth tier.
Okay. Do you know what the penalty for that is?
I don't, not offhand. I'm sure I think it gets more extreme, but I did see that. I don't know what the penalties are, because at some point I saw that they were going to do away with the penalties, but that wouldn't make sense to have a thresholds and then not penalize teams. Anyway, the non-money side, we've already talked about the universal DH. That's a thing now. There were talks about a 14-team playoff field. It's going to be 12.
Yay!
Yeah. I still don't like 12, but whatever. There's going to be a draft lottery, which I guess the 12-team playoff and the draft lottery is kind of to help not tank, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of either one. But that's just me.
So you're wanting fewer teams in the playoffs or more?
Fewer.
12.
Fewer.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, no way you're wanting 14.
Yeah, just like what we talked about maybe last week or the week before. It dilutes things. But so a player can be optioned between AAA and the minor leagues, or the minor leagues in the MLB. They can be optioned up to 5 times. I think usually it was more. It was unlimited, I think. So that's gonna make teams decide who they're gonna bring up, when they can bring them up, and I think there's gonna be a lot of strategy there. You're gonna have to build some depth to possibly help with that. You mentioned previously that the amateur draft has gotten smaller. It was 5 rounds during the 2020 year. It was 20 last year. It used to be 40. It's going to be 20 moving forward. And some pandemic rules that stuck around last year were the runner on second base for extra innings and the 7-inning doubleheaders.
That's sticking around?
No, those are gone.
Oh, okay, good.
So no more runner on second, and no more 7-inning doubleheaders. They'll all be 9-inning doubleheaders.
I never understood that, but
yeah. Teams will play fewer divisional games, so they'll be able to play teams. Like I think they're trying to get teams to play every single other team in the league now, which will be cool because you'll get to see, like someone brought up, Albert Pujols won't have to wait 8 or 9 years to go back to St. Louis after he left.
Yeah.
There's going to be more international games. And then there's going to be a 45-day window to approve rule changes for 2023, which includes pitch clocks, bans on shifts, and larger bases. And I think all 3 of those being implemented is the idea is to try and get more offense into the league.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's the first time I had heard of 2 of those. The pitch clock I've heard of, and that makes sense because that can get a bit lengthy. Never heard about the bigger bases. Wow. And then they're really going to ban shifts?
I don't know that it's going to be a complete ban. It's just they're not going to. I don't think they're going to allow teams to load up one side of the infield.
I'm gonna definitely disagree with that because I mean, how you field your defense is up to you. If you want to put all of them in left field, go for it. But to me, it's up to the hitter to adjust to that. But
Yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah, and I know people are making that argument as to why they don't like that, and I get it, but I don't know. I think it's taken a lot of offense out of the league, out of the game, and I think they're wanting it back, and that's why the limitation on the shifts, I guess I should call it, moving forward is happening.
Yeah.
And then the larger bases, I've heard that's hoping to lead to more stolen bases because that's kind of been something that hasn't came around, or stolen bases have been fewer and fewer every year.
You know how much bigger? Are we talking like a humongous base?
Let me see if I can find a picture because the difference was quite. It was pretty.
Oh,
large.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I was thinking it would be like maybe a couple inches most, but wow. Okay, yeah.
Let me see.
It'd be hilarious if they just dropped this huge base.
Oh, from what I've seen, they look massive.
Oh no.
Okay, I found it.
We're definitely gonna have to discuss the shift stuff if that happens.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't look too much different from this picture, but
can you share it?
Yeah, I'll share the screen here in a second. But I don't know if what I saw earlier was.
I'm super excited.
So, can you see that?
Oh, okay. That's about what I figured.
Yeah, there must have been some kind of like meme picture that I saw because someone had like, I don't know, like the size of this. I don't even know what you call these. Coaster, the size of this coaster, and then like a piece of paper.
No.
It was like the difference of a base. I was cracking up. But
it'd be funny to see a coach get mad and he goes to pick up the base and he can't do it because it's too big.
Yeah, it's like. But anyway, yeah, I think
that seems understandable. That's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's kind of the MLB update. And free agency started, and there's already have been a lot of moves that's happened.
Yeah, I saw that.
Spring training started today, March 13th. Games will start March 17th, and then regular season will start April 7th.
Are my glasses crooked? Because last time y'all didn't say anything, and it looked like a goofus the whole time.
I don't know. Sometimes it looks like they're a little foggy.
Well,
that might just be me.
I think it's a reflection. Sorry for getting off topic. But anyway, yeah, so the MLB is back. It was never in doubt. We all knew it was coming back. Mauricio, you have to start working again.
Yeah, they should have stayed off till like September.
you called it off. Not excited? Take work out of the equation.
So if the Astros are bad, you talked about the Texans and how you guys just kind of like use game footage or the Rockets. I'm sorry. You use the Rockets.
Oh, yeah, from TV.
If the Astros are bad, are you guys going to do that too?
Probably.
So now you're hoping that the Astros are really bad?
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they don't there's nothing involving them in October.
Well, they could lose Carlos Correa, so there's that.
Made them.
And I saw Kershaw's going back to LA.
Yep, Kershaw's going back.
Got anything else on the MLB, or do you want to move into Mauricio's home field?
We'll get into Mauricio's expertise.
No, let's move to it. But I mean, we're moving to his, but I'm about to get real lengthy on this first topic. So let's start with Calvin Ridley. Of course, we've all heard that he's out for the next season, at least, for betting on games. He bet a total of $1,500, and it ended up costing him, $11 million? According to ESPN, quote, Ridley gambled on games over a 5-day stretch in November 2021 when he was on the non-football injury list to address his mental health. So before I get into my tirade, I'll throw it to you guys to see your thoughts on it.
It's just like, it's crazy, like, why are you gonna bet on something like that? And then, you're gonna risk, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. They're gonna find a way, and it's gonna come back to you.
Do you think he's 100% in the wrong?
Yeah, dude. Like, better, like
even if it wasn't on like his own games, he wasn't playing, he wasn't with the team, still him.
Yeah.
I got you.
All the way wrong.
I think Andy and I are gonna be Andy, we'll see. What do you think?
So I certainly don't want to take away from the mental health aspect of it, because I know that's a major thing, and it's I mean, people deal with that a lot. I'm sure each one of us has dealt with some kind of mental health stuff going on.
Mhm.
And so, but when I initially saw that he was suspended, my mind kind of correlated it to when, the rumors that Michael Jordan was suspended for a time for when he decided to go play baseball for his betting. And so my mind kind of correlated to that. And I know it probably shouldn't have, but it was
Well,
kind
I
of,
mean, you're a Bulls fan, of course it would.
but it did, because I was like, oh, because and I think my mind went to that because you don't really hear about guys just stopping in the middle of the season to take off for the rest of the year for mental health. And so, I mean, I know the whole Ben Simmons thing was,
Well, you got Kyrie too.
right, yeah, but it just hasn't been that prevalent.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why my mind went to there. But
Understandable.
I have to say that, I'm all for Pete Rose getting into the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
I know he bet on the game, but he's baseball's all-time hit leader. You can't take that away from him. Kind of like, even though Barry Bonds allegedly took steroids, and we all kind of know he did, he's still baseball's home run king, whether you want to believe it or not. And so, I don't know. I know, Spencer, you're going to talk more about this, but it's pretty hypocritical for the NFL to be partners with DraftKings and whatnot and say, oh, well, Ridley, tell their players they can't bet on games.
Mhm.
And I know it's different if they bet on their own team to win.
Yeah.
And if they're playing, especially, it's different, because they can certainly sway the outcome if, Ridley decides he doesn't want to catch passes or whatever, but I don't know. A full season suspension is pretty egregious to me. That's what I don't understand. Because we've seen in the past that guys have gotten suspended for fewer games for doing much worse things.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm glad you brought that up.
And so I don't know, because I know, well, I was going to bring up something, but I don't think that relates. So,
yeah, I mean, you don't have to bring up specific names, but like you said, people have done way worse and gotten way fewer games. Domestic violence specifically is what my mind goes to. I'm sure yours too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. So hold on to your butts. So I'm a bit conflicted on this one because, like you said, on the one hand, he does play in the NFL and bet on NFL games, like Mauricio was saying. That's a no-no, even though he wasn't actively playing in those games. Obviously, it's a conflict of interest, and he can still have indirect ways to influence games. But on the other hand, like you said, Andy, something that kind of weighs more heavily on my mind is the NFL, and really all sports now, are just shoving gambling ads down fans' throats in the form of DraftKings and FanDuel, and having betting odds for every single game and always flashing those on the screen. And it just seems wild to me that they actually do it. But then when a player does it, it's like, no, not like that. So it does seem hypocritical for the league that won't quit putting gambling in everyone's face. But I'm going to bring up a story at the risk of getting a little off topic here. It's a kind of an obscure story that shouldn't have remained so hidden. So this story came out on March 8th from Danny O'Neill. It's about an offensive play caller in the NFL collaborating with a known gambling tout. So I'll read an excerpt from the article. Quote, "But what would you say about a coach who calls the offensive plays for his team who gets a weekly memo from a guy who has fashioned himself somewhat of a gambling guru? Not only that, but in this weekly memo, the gambling guru, who even uses a pseudonym, suggested the team target a specific backup tight end, and in that week's game, the offensive play caller in fact targets that backup tight end in a goal line set, resulting in a touchdown. This isn't some hypothetical scenario. The gambling guru is Warren Sharp. At least that's what he goes by. The reporter was Danny Funt, and his story was published in a not-so-small magazine, The New Yorker. Funt even spoke to the coach, who confirmed he had in fact talked to Sharp," end quote. So that's absolutely just supersedes this Calvin Ridley story in every facet to me. And I really think the NFL needs to follow the money on that situation to see what this gambling guru, if he was having financial impact on games. Of course, we know they won't because, as we've mentioned earlier, the NFL has been historically inconsistent in their punishments. And I could bring up, get even further off topic and bring up betting corruption in other leagues as well. Like you mentioned the Pete Rose thing, and I agree with you. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And then the NBA as well, and how referee Scott Foster was the recipient of 134 Tim Donaghy phone calls, but he's still officiating. But if we get it too deep into that, it'll send us off the rails, and I don't want to do that. So I got it all out. What do you guys think about that story, though?
I don't know about that, dude.
Yeah, that was wild when I read that.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I can't believe that it wasn't a bigger news story.
It doesn't catch me by surprise because I feel like we don't know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, fair enough.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It's wild.
Dan Snyder.
Yeah, so I was looking off the screen because I was listening to something the other day where they were talking about how Calvin Ridley got caught, and I was trying to figure out if I could find that because they were saying something like he used his screen name was like Calvin Ridley from the Falcons or something like that. So I was trying
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out if I could find that, but
oh my gosh,
I just skimmed through this article while you were talking, and it said someone brought up that a season-long suspension is pretty long when you have Dan Snyder and all his stuff going on, and he's still the owner of the Commanders. So
unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, they're going to protect their owners. That's what I think. That's the commissioner's job essentially, because he works for the owners. But yeah, it is very ridiculous.
And I'm not sure that we mentioned this, but Ridley did bet on games after he took a leave of absence, so it wasn't like he was.
And it wasn't his own, though, right?
I think there's rumors that he did, but I'm not sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I didn't know that.
But, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
If it was his own that he was playing in, or at least with the team in, I 100% get that. But if it wasn't, then I'll stay on this side. But I don't know if it's all come out yet.
Yeah. So, but it also leads me to a question: can NFL players? I guess they can bet on other sports then.
Yeah, I did read.
Can't bet on.
Yeah, they can bet on NBA, MLB, whatever. Yeah.
Hockey.
Well, yeah, it's probably rare, but yeah.
So, I just real quick, I don't know if this relates, and you guys want to talk about the Calvin Ridley stuff more. So I'm still trying to do some. It says Ridley placed 3 parlays. 3, 5, and 8 teams and bet on the Falcons to win. All of the bets were placed between November 23rd through 28th. The Falcons beat Jacksonville on November 28th. All of the bets were via a mobile app in Florida.
So he bet on the Falcons to win, and that's it?
Yeah.
As part of the parlay.
Yeah, but he bet on the Falcons to beat the Jaguars, which is funny because the Jaguars are awful last year.
Yeah, but if you're betting on yourself to win, is it? I still get that it's a conflict of interest, but to me, if you're not losing on purpose, if you're just winning the game, that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway. So
right,
not a huge deal to me.
And I don't think he was playing at that time either. So it's not like
I can see where it's a super slippery slope, though.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this too, because even though he wasn't playing, he could probably still be like, "Hey guys, I bet on this game."
Yeah, but don't try hard.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, because then the NFL would have to pretty much audit all the players' bet slips and stuff, and it just sends us down a path that it's just easier not to do it at all. Mm-hmm. I guess I get that, yeah. But
and one thing I didn't mention, I probably should have, because I was thinking about this too, and just ran across it again, is that, and I have another thing that I should probably bring up, but
yeah.
So it says that, I'll have to find it, dang it. This year-long suspension might be to set a precedent for other players that want to bet. So there's that, but also even with what is his name? The Dolphins coach that's suing the league.
Flores?
Brian Flores. Flores. So in his lawsuit, he was saying that the Dolphins owner was paying or told him that he would pay him to lose games. So
like
there's
$100,000 per game. Or
so
something.
that's, I mean, you're effectively
if your beard scratch is an ASMR.
I
Take
know.
that up again. It tickles the ear. Okay, sorry. Oh my.
But anyway, yeah. So that's a problem in itself if they find the Dolphins owner guilty of that, because then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would imagine if you're going to suspend Ridley for a year, you've got to.
What you do to the owner? Make him sell, I guess.
I don't know, because I don't know.
We get back to the Snyder stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, we can go on with.
Oh yeah.
Shailene Woodley's ex-fiance.
Oh, look at you, well versed in your pop culture. Who's dating who? Andy's the skirt with the dirt. He's got the gossip.
I couldn't stand her. Katrina wanted to watch that Divergent series, and we watched it, and I could not stand her.
Oh, goodness.
She was so whiny, and I'm sitting here like, well, I guess it fits with Aaron Rodgers.
Fair enough, yeah. So, like you said, Aaron Rodgers, it hadn't been made official, but he's coming back to the Packers. He claims the details of his contract, which were originally reported at 4 years, $200 million for $50 million a year, aren't accurate. But I'm sure he just wants to break it himself on the Pat McAfee podcast. What do you guys think? Is this a good move for the Packers?
Crazy, dude. It's wrong.
It's bad because of the money, or just in general?
It's all around. It's like, yes, I mean, okay, the 2 MVPs, but like 2 MVPs are not Super Bowls.
Okay.
And then it's one Super Bowl and one NFC championship in 2011, but after that, there's like nothing else to prove. It's like, it's not like you're re-signing Tom Brady.
Okay, Andy. Oh no, go ahead.
No, it's just like I don't think even Tom Brady ever asked for that kind of money.
Yeah. Okay.
And Tom Brady, I would. That's Tom Brady money. That's not Aaron Rodgers.
Tom Brady asked for blood.
Well, the NFC North and Jordan Love collectively cried whenever it was announced that Aaron Rodgers was coming back.
Poor guy.
I was wondering if we were ever going to get into this debate, and I don't want to take this off the rails and get into a separate debate but Mauricio mentioned Super Bowls, and I can't stand when quarterbacks are judged on how many Super Bowl titles they have.
Yeah.
Just because you have guys like Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson, Joe Flacco. I know he's playing out of his mind. I know he's playing out of his mind. I know he's playing out of his mind in that run, but it's just there's guys that and Peyton Manning, his Super Bowl year with the Broncos was awful. So I hate whenever people equate greatness to Super Bowl titles with quarterbacks. But
I can agree with that.
I'm not trying to jump down your throat, Mauricio.
Jump down it.
Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl. Dan Marino doesn't have a Super Bowl. Think about it.
Yeah. So
Trent Dilfer it's technically better than Dan Marino. There you go.
But no, whenever I first saw the 4-year $200 million, I was like, oh my gosh, $50 million, and the Packers have all this cap problem.
Yeah.
And so I think that may be why we haven't heard anything official, because the Packers still have moves to make, because they franchise tagged Devontae Adams as well, I believe.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a good move for the Packers. I mean, Rodgers is probably the best, if not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I know we saw very limited time of Jordan Love, but he didn't look great in that game against the Chiefs this year. And it was, to be fair, it was very short. They didn't have a whole lot of prep time with him and whatnot. But I don't know. I think it's a good move for the Packers. And my next thought was what's going to happen with Jordan Love, because he's soon going to be off his rookie deal. And the Packers are going to have to decide whether they want to try to get something out of him or keep him. I don't know what they're going to do, but I did hear that he and Rodgers have the same agent. So if they do that, then I imagine the agent will try and get Jordan Love traded or something like that. So
that'd be interesting.
I like the deal for Rodgers. I think the Packers are great. Like, I know this might sound a little hypocritical, but I think the Packers are a much better team with Rodgers than without Rodgers.
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course.
So.
But yeah, I think to me, Mauricio is usually a bit too contrarian. But I'm going to have to agree with him on this one. Just because if the money is even close to what they've reported, I think that's ludicrous, especially considering how he acted a year ago with his, wanting out, and then he's just, I don't know. To me, he seems like more of a headache than what it's worth. Now, I don't know what you could do. I think you can't just he's so good, you can't just let him walk. I don't know if you sign and trade, if you can do that like you do in the NBA, or, how.
Well, I think he had 1 year left on his deal. So he still could have been traded.
Oh, okay. Well, see, in that case, I think that's absolutely what they should have done, because I think the headache just isn't worth it. And then you can get somebody for cheaper, albeit not near as good, but you have wiggle room to build around that rather than have all your cap absorbed by Rodgers and Adams. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, and I can see that, but I also see like what quarterbacks were available for the Packers to get in the offseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're still trying to compete for a championship, and I mean, there's not much there that's available, and this draft class is not good, or is not as good as previous ones. And
no, you can go ahead and say it. It's not good.
And you, like I said, you still don't know what Jordan Love's going to do. So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on. I like the deal. I know you guys probably are not fans of it, but I see where you're coming from though with the headache that he is.
And there were rumblings that they were going to be trade partners with the Broncos. I guess they could have got maybe Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock, but I mean, like you said, that's not going to move the needle for them too much. But we'll go right into the Broncos stuff now, though. So Russell Wilson was traded to the Broncos. Denver is trading quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive lineman Shelby Harris, 2022 first round pick, which is number 9, 2023 first round pick, 2022 second round pick, number 40, 2023 second round pick, and 2022 fifth round pick. Seahawks are trading QB Russell Wilson and 2022 fourth round pick. Thoughts on the trade?
It's good, but it's kind of like, I don't know if he's gonna have that success that he had in Seattle and Denver.
Okay.
I just felt like it was a lot for Russell. You gave up a lot. But here's the thing, you did this right. But if you waited a couple of days, you would have found out that Deshaun Watson was gonna be available,
that's true.
And you could have thrown all that for a much younger, probably way faster player.
That's an interesting take.
To literally he could have waited a couple of days because he had to do all this deposition stuff on Friday. You could have waited till Friday, see what was going to happen with him, and then you could have gone all in on him, which all these other teams are doing right now. So I don't know, they pulled the gun really quick.
Yeah, you bring that up though, it does make a good point. You got to wonder if Seattle maybe pushed the envelope a little bit and kind of tried to pressure the Broncos into, hey, take this deal now or it's off the table.
No. And now Seattle looks like they're also in contention for Deshaun Watson. So, and they have all these extra picks now.
Oh, you don't think they're going to ride with Drew Lock?
Oh no, bro. That guy's been an issue since Missouri, back in the day in college.
Fair enough.
He did do pretty well against the Chiefs that regular season finale, though. I will say that.
Oh yeah.
Chiefs defense isn't. Stifling.
No, but there's some trouble though. I honestly didn't think it was real when I first saw it, because it was Adam Schefter that I saw the tweet from. Whenever, because he's had all these tweets lately that have been like Lamar Jackson calling him out, saying he took a quote out of context, and then there was he jumped the gun on the Tom Brady thing, and no one really knew what Tom Brady, and I guess we still don't know what Tom Brady's doing. He hasn't officially filed for retirement yet. So
has he not?
I don't think so.
Oh Lord, okay.
So but anyway,
back.
Yeah.
2 hours later.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I hadn't thought about the Deshaun Watson thing either, but I know I guess the legal suits have been washed away, but he still is dealing with the civil suits. So
Yeah. Hmm.
But he's just gonna throw money at that, and he'll be good to
Oh
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's exactly right.
yeah,
He's ready to run.
yeah. But I had seen that Wilson was wanting to go to Denver, and so I don't know. He struggled last year, but he hasn't had an offensive line either.
Oh,
So-
not at all.
I mean, I think it's a good fit for Denver. You know, I know it's ironic wearing Chiefs gear. I'm a Chiefs fan, but
You're the Chiefs coach.
yeah. But I was saying earlier that I think the Broncos are a quarterback away from being really good, and
I was going to bring that up.
they've got the quarterback now. And so my dad brought up they lost Noah Fant, so they lost a pretty decent tight end, but I think there's probably going to be some guys on the market that they can find if they don't draft one or something. So
I think tight end's a position that you can find replacements relatively easy for. I mean, not to take away from Noah Fant, but I think that he's replacing.
They're gonna get Rob Gronkowski.
and they have that guy that no one's name, or that you can't pronounce his name. I forgot
Who,
what his
me?
name is. The Broncos,
Oh,
that tight end. I forget what his name is, but
oh yeah, I'm not
no
going
one
to
can
try.
pronounce it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a bit confused. I think from the Seahawks point of view, I saw that they're keeping Pete Carroll around, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know why they would do that if they're going to go through a rebuild. And he might be the oldest coach in the league right now. He's 70 years old, I believe.
I think he might be.
And that seems a little odd. And I know I thought you were going to bring it up about what they might do in terms. I mean, if they get somebody like Deshaun Watson, obviously they're going to change from rebuilding to trying to compete. But if they don't, then it's going to look like they're going for a rebuild. And you got to wonder what's happening with players like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, that was one of the things, and I should have brought that up. But I was curious about that because now that they don't have a quarterback to throw the ball to them, who are they?
And also Wagner.
Yeah.
So
they got rid of Bobby Wagner. Yeah, it seems like the Seahawks are full on. The Carolina Panthers and New Orleans Saints are two teams that have offered the Texans for Deshaun Watson.
How in the world are the Saints affording that?
I don't know.
They're in cap hell right now. I can't see that one happening.
They're sending Tyson Hill to the Texans.
Hey, it might. Staying with the Broncos stuff, that division is super scary. And I know as a Chiefs fan, it's got to be a little worrying seeing all those amazing quarterbacks. You've got Russell Wilson with the Broncos. Of course, you've got Aaron Rodgers still with the Packers, Mahomes with the Chiefs, and then Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Sorry, Raiders. Y'all aren't
LOL,
in
Derek
this
Carr.
conversation. Sorry.
Well, what if the Raiders trade for Deshaun Watson?
That would okay. That would break the league. It would break the league right there. I like the thought though. You used to be a Raiders fan, didn't you?
Yeah, until they left California.
That's fair enough. But speaking of leaving, we've got another quarterback on the move. Carson Wentz.
Oh wait, no, go ahead.
Oh,
I thought you were going to talk
No.
about Khalil Mack, but that's fine.
I will talk about Khalil Mack after this, unless you want me to go there first.
No, it doesn't matter. You do.
We'll stay in the division. Khalil Mack traded to the Chargers, so they get even stronger, and that division gets even scarier, especially if you are one of those quarterbacks. The Chargers have a pretty serious defensive front, and Khalil Mack adding to that is pretty insane. What do you guys think?
I'm scared.
Yeah, like if he heals up, I guess, from his injury like he had at the end of the season, and he gets close to what he used to be, it's gonna be because Bosa, just with Bosa was already kind of tough playing against the Chargers, so it might, like them too, and then they have an offense, and then if they stop calling timeouts,
Oh my gosh! Of course, he brings that up.
they'll be dangerous.
I think regardless, they'll be must-see TV. I really do.
Yeah.
That defense could be really fun to watch.
Yeah. So the Bears received a 2022 second and a 2023 sixth for Khalil Mack.
That's it?
Yeah, I guess the
Salary.
well,
Yeah.
I think the salary, but also him coming off an injury probably prevented them from getting more.
Yeah.
He's in his 30s now. and he's due $84.9 million over the next 3 seasons, which is
Ooh.
quite a bit.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so it's a risky move, but if he comes back healthy and is the player he was before, that's a great move for the Chargers.
Yeah, for sure.
But I will say there are probably other options they could have went with like Von Miller or Chandler Jones or Emmanuel Ogba that they could have went, but
I think the only one of that one I would have seen as a comparable move probably would have been Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
I think Von Miller's kind of on his last legs.
Yeah, I agree.
Near a retirement tour.
I agree. So,
but let's go back to Carson Wentz getting traded to the Washington Commanders for a 2022 second round pick. And then the Commanders, I want to say, gave up a 2022 third round pick, 2023 third round pick that could turn into a second based on incentives, and a 2022 second round pick. I know Andy's got some strong feelings about this one. Hit us with it.
Well, you guys know a couple weeks, or last week, I guess it was, I was talking about the Commanders had called every team in the league and even tried to call about Patrick Mahomes. They ended up with Carson Wentz.
What a terrible consolation prize.
Yeah. So I'll have to find the stats because I didn't pull them up here. But I like I said last week, I still think you could have rolled with Taylor Heineke and probably not have been that much worse or whatever.
The cap situation would have been much better.
Oh yeah, because Wentz is on a lot. The thing with Wentz is it seems like he shows flashes of being really good, but then he also makes these boneheaded plays that you're just like, what are you doing? And
he's thrown some of the worst picks I've ever seen. Oh yeah,
and so I mean, Wentz was an MVP candidate for a couple of years ago before he got hurt, which is still blows my mind that happened. But yeah, stats wise, Wentz has Heineke in interceptions. I think it was like 25-7 for Wentz, and then Heineke's wasn't that great. Yeah. But at the same time, I think that was the only outlier stat between the two guys that they had. And
you bring up some of the bonehead stuff. I mean, they had the playoffs essentially locked down. All they had to do was beat the Jaguars, and you mentioned how bad they were. And Wentz just he just blew it in the clutch, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I don't know that I saw any takes on this trade that were happy. I think I even dug into the Commanders Reddit page to see if people were happy, and they weren't.
Oh, no.
There's also been talk of Wentz not taking well to coaching, and his leadership qualities have been taken into question. I don't know about all that, but I do know that with this quarterback market and this upcoming draft, the Colts got rid of their quarterback knowing that they probably may not get a comparable guy or even a someone capable of leading their offense. And
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, like one interesting note about the Colts, I didn't know this until the other day. Like since 2016, they've had a different starting quarterback every single season. So there's been no stability there.
I did see where they're looking at potentially bringing in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I've heard Trubisky named there too.
Yeah,
so I still don't understand the love of Trubisky.
Yeah, I don't either.
Could they afford to trade for Deshaun?
I think they probably could.
Oh, that's interdivision though. I don't know that the Texans will want to do that.
Texans won't do it
unless the Colts give up a ton, and I don't think the Colts have a first round pick this year.
They're not going to give up Jonathan Taylor.
Didn't the Texans trade? What was the wide receiver? Calvin
Andre Hopkins?
No, the Johnson guy. Remember? He went to the tight end.
Andre Johnson.
Remember?
That dude, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I do remember him playing for the Titans and the Colts. Yeah, but I don't remember how he was acquired.
I remember him fighting the Titans.
Oh, yeah. What was that guy's name?
Finnegan. Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah. I will say
wallop, dude.
I SpongeBob memed Carson Wentz one time.
Oh,
it was a good time.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, we were in Haiti at the same time. I was also in Haiti at the same time as Myles Garrett too. We were like not that far from each other before he became the
Traveling
number
with
one.
the celebs.
I know. I don't think we got Mauricio's take on this trade.
Oh yeah, you know he's gonna like it because he does everything else.
No, dude, it's terrible. Like that guy shouldn't be playing quarterback in the league.
I don't know. That's a little far.
No,
I'm not as low on Wentz as you guys are. I think
dude.
I think his flashes are plenty good as long as he as long as he tries to keep his head in the game. But I mean, we've seen that he hadn't been.
I do have the 2021 stats for each player if you guys want to look at them real quick, but we don't have to.
Put them up on put them up on the screen. I'm interested. I know you sent them to me, but I was busy. I didn't look at it.
Yeah, this is a different one, but it's more complete. So obviously you see the gray on Wentz's side. That's the better.
We got to keep in mind we've got some audio only listeners.
Yeah. So Wentz played 17 games to Heineke's 16. So Wentz has the advantage. 322 completions for Wentz to Heineke's 321. So advantage wins.
Well, with just one game played, not really.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was funny.
One game more.
Wentz has completed Heineke completed 65% of his passes. Wentz 62.4. Passing yards, Wentz 35.63. Heineke 34.19. Not a huge difference when you're talking about that. Touchdowns, Wentz 27, interceptions 7. Heineke 20 and 15 for those two stats. So the interception stats is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, you were spot on with that.
Where they
all
differ.
Of these are so close.
Yeah, they're very similar. Like going down the list, they are so similar.
If you looked at a blind resume, it'd be hard to find the difference.
Right. Quarterback rating is different, but that's because you count in the interceptions for Heineke. But I mean, it's so similar for what they gave up. Why not stick with Heineke?
That's wild. I didn't expect it to be that close in literally every category.
Yeah. It's insane. They're pretty much the same quarterback.
I can definitely see why people are dogging on that then.
All right.
And if you guys want to keep talking trades, we can talk. I'll just mention kind of in passing. I saw the Cowboys are allowing Lyle Collins permission for a trade. We don't have to talk about it that much. It's not a huge deal because he hasn't been traded yet. But I will, if you guys do want to talk about Amari Cooper was traded to the Browns, unfortunately, because I was hoping the Ravens would get him, but that didn't happen. So I was kind of surprised to see this. But based on what I've read, it looks like the Cowboys did this mainly just so they could sign Zeke. Am I wrong?
I don't know. My dad, Cowboys fan, he's the expert in this situation. Yeah, so he's been saying they should get rid of Cooper the last 2 seasons.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I think last year, or he's talked about how Cooper doesn't get open very well.
Okay.
And so
maybe post injury.
Yeah, and I think last year, whether you want to count this or not, Cooper wasn't vaccinated last year, so he got COVID and couldn't play.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could have an effect. We saw it have an effect in other leagues with the NBA, and it took Jason Tatum forever to get back to form.
But I did see that I think the NFL dropped their COVID protocols so for the future. So I mean,
we got a freeze. Oh, you froze on my screen. Scared me.
But
it says my internet connection is unstable. I'm unstable. You calling me unstable?
Remember when we were dogging my internet?
Yeah, now it's me. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Ignore all this.
So, I mean, the Cooper thing wasn't anything new to me because I think a lot of Cowboys fans saw the writing on the wall that he wasn't coming back. Cowboys are trying to sign Michael Gallup. Cedric Wilson was pretty good for them this year, and I think he's a free agent. And then, of course, they have CD Lamb.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
And then they tagged Dalton Schultz.
Oh yeah, he was good too.
Yeah, and Cooper. So just his stats real quick this year is 68 receptions, 865 yards, 8 touchdowns. Last year he had 92 receptions, 1114 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2019, 1189, 79 receptions and 8 touchdowns. So this year he was obviously not as good as he has been in the past.
Well, they may see him on a decline.
Yeah, but what the Cowboys got back. I mean, they essentially swapped 6-round picks, but they only got a 5th back for Cooper. So it was just
well, no, I did hear that they were essentially going to waive him if they didn't trade him.
Right.
So I think that's what it really was. Is just
Yeah.
like, hey, we're about to waive him, so throw in a little something and you can
Yeah.
have him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why teams announce that they're gonna get rid of players beforehand, because that gives
I don't get that
all
either.
leverage away.
Yeah,
And
no.
some team could have jumped out and grabbed him for
Easy.
probably a little bit better package. I don't
The
like
4th
I know,
or 5th round pick.
Yeah. So should the Rams have traded for Amari Cooper?
Yeah, dude.
They could just have all the receivers.
Well, OBJ's out next year, probably.
Wait, oh yeah, that's right. I didn't
ACL
think
tear.
about that.
Oh, but you're getting Robert Woods back though, at some point.
An eye for an
Eventually.
eye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys want to call it a day, we can talk a little bit about college basketball, but I know tonight after the selection show, we're going to get plenty of that. It's up to you guys if you guys want to wait till then, or do you guys want to tackle that now? My computer's about to die, so you might lose me.
We almost lost you already.
I know. I glitched out. I guess let's go ahead and call it until after Selection Sunday, if that's okay with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
That works.
So, to everybody that's listening or watching, we are recording a separate episode after the selection show happens at 5 p.m. We recorded this at 3 p.m. Central Time, and so
I'm ready.
That looks like you just have a bunch of cuss words on that because it's all blurry.
Oh no! Oh no! It's okay. It's okay. I don't want you guys stealing my notes anyway. It's draft notes. It's just all the names I want to call you guys.
Zoom blurted out. That's cracking me
Zoom.
up.
It's okay. You guys don't need to steal my notes anyway. But also, what we're going to be doing, and I don't know if we've even filled Mauricio in yet, is a joint bracket. And for each matchup, we'll vote on it. I mean, we can discuss it a little bit at first and then put it to a vote. Obviously, majority rules on that. So Mauricio won't be able to pick all the 16 seeds like he wants to.
And we will have essentially a fantasy draft for players in the NCAA tournament. Mauricio, I don't know if Spencer and I have done it before, but I don't know if you really have gotten what we did. But essentially, we'll explain it more later. But essentially, is we'll pick players like kind of a snake draft deal where we'll pick players to see or to get their point totals for every round, and at the end of the whole thing, we'll have someone will win. Okay. Someone will win the little fantasy game. Maybe we can get a trophy or some kind of prize for it or something.
The loser has to drink like a shot of lemon juice. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. Like Andy said, tune in for the super special March Madness episode where we do the draft and the bracket. And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.